Hi everyone! How was your experience in designing a syllabus? Now that you have designed the syllabus, I'd like to further discuss developing the materials as stated in the syllabus. What is material development? Tomlinson 2011 argues that material developers might write textbooks, tell stories, bring advertisements in the classroom, express an opinion, provide samples of language use, or read aloud. When we develop materials for classroom, we should focus on three vital questions. What should be provided for the learners? How it should be provided? And what can be done with it to promote language learning? Thus, some principles should be kept in mind in order to develop materials in language teaching, especially in English for specific purposes. Tomlinson proposes 12 principles of second language acquisition relevant to the development of materials for the teaching of languages in ESP. As you can see here. In this occasion, I'd like to discuss only the 5 first principles. They are: materials should achieve impact. Materials should help learners to feel at ease. Materials should help learners to develop confidence. What is being taught should be perceived by learners as relevant and useful. Materials should require and facilitate learner self-investment. Now let us discuss one by one. Materials should achieve impacts. Impact is achieved when materials have a noticeable effect on learners. That is when the learner's curiosity, interest, and attention are attracted. Materials can achieve impact through novelty, variety, attractive presentation, appealing content, and achievable challenge. Materials can help learners to feel at ease. It can be achieved in a number of ways. Most learners feel more comfortable with written materials with lots of white space than they do with materials in which lots of different activities are crammed together on the same page. Most learners are more at ease with text and illustrations that they can relate to their own culture than they are with those which appear to them to be culturally alien. And most learners are more relaxed with materials which are obviously trying to help them to learn than they are with materials which are always testing them. Okay, now let us go to the third principle. The third principle says that materials should help learners to develop confidence. In order to build learners' confidence, we could design activities which try to push learners beyond their existing proficiency by engaging them in tasks which are stimulating, which are problematic, but which are achievable too. It can also help if the activities encourage learners to use and to develop their existing extra-linguistic skills, such as those which involve being imaginative, being creative, or being analytical. Okay, the next principle is what is being taught should be perceived by learners as relevant and useful. in English for specific purposes materials, it is relatively easy to convince the learners that the teaching points are relevant and useful by relating them to known learner interests and to real-life tasks which the learners need or might need to perform in the target language. In general English materials, however, this is obviously more difficult, but it can be achieved by narrowing the target readership and or by researching what the target learners are interested in and what they really want to learn the language for. Perception of relevance and utility can also be achieved by relating teaching points to interesting and challenging classroom tasks and by presenting them in ways which could facilitate the achievement of the task outcomes desired by the learners. The last principle for this video is materials should require and facilitate learner self-investment. One of the most profitable ways of doing this is to get learners interested in a written or spoken text, to get them to respond to it globally and effectively, and then to help them to analyze a particular linguistic feature of it in order to make discoveries for themselves. Other ways of achieving learner investment are involving the learners in mini projects, involving them in finding supplementary materials for particular units in a book, and giving them responsibility for making decisions about which texts to use and how to use them. Well, now that you have learned 5 principles of designing materials, I'd like to share some trends in material developments in this disruptive world. One is blended learning. Blended learning is a combination between digital media with more traditional forms of teaching. 2 is mobile learning. Online resources are more accessible with a mobile application or a mobile-friendly version. The third one is gamification. The objective of this is learning for fun, to engage the students. The last of the disruptive world trend of materials designing is embodied learning. Embodied learning is based on the idea that learning is not just about remembering. It involves using the mind and the body, collaborating, discussing, and exploring. Learners need to be emotionally, intellectually, physically, and socially engaged. Okay, everyone, that is all our discussion today about the 5 principles of designing materials in English for specific purposes. The next video will discuss the rest of the principles. See you again. Goodbye.